Hello, and welcome back to Coin Lady channel. Do you ever question the wisdom of your financial decisions? How often do you question your XRP purchase? That just makes you another human being. It's natural to wonder if you're okay on the inside. Well, I did it now. Is this the proper action? It's important to look for reassurance and keep learning about the world. Without a doubt. This is fine and dandy, but one can also go far too far in the opposite direction. I mean, what if we get carried away? That is entirely possible. This occurs frequently in the XRP community, in my experience. This is not anything exclusive to the XRP community. My point is simply that I share your enthusiasm for crypto and, more especially, the XRP community. This is the first thing I want to say. You aren't alone in speculating that XRP's future value will far exceed its current level. In fact, as far as I can tell, pretty much everyone thinks XRP is about to go, with the Ripple case being the main cause. So I'll just mention a handful of examples to emphasize the idea. There was also this article I was thinking about reading. Here it is from the Daily Hodl, because we do need to concentrate, even though, since this is a supplemental bit of channel, I'm sure there are a few of you out there who are just like me. And you have the most XRP or are most interested in XRP. To which I respond, okay. It's fine if it isn't, too. Perhaps for most of you, it is not your single largest asset, but that fact is irrelevant. But I feel the need to emphasize that Bitcoin remains the market's primary motivator. Not only do I own Bitcoin, but I also hope that it succeeds. Since 2017, I've been keeping it. To be honest, I'm not particularly interested. To be honest, it doesn't accomplish very much. I mean, it's what keeps the market moving, but XRP has many more practical use. Let me say that is a clever way to put it. A leading analyst who forecast a Bitcoin bottom in 2022 has now projected that the cryptocurrency will reach new highs this year. Look at all of his aims. But there is something I need to clarify before we go any further. I come from a completely monetary free background. Nothing I say or write should be taken as recommendations to purchase or sell any security. For fun and as a pastime, I enjoy making videos about crypto-related topics to share on YouTube. Let me emphasize this point. An excerpt from the podcast, Crypto, Basic Thinking, follows. Many of you are probably aware that Founders Eyes XRP is getting ready for a potentially lucrative XRP rise. Tony, who operates the Thinking Crypto channel on YouTube, shared his thoughts there. Yes, I do concur with many of these points. I don't think we're insane, and I don't dare make predictions, because I don't know what the future holds. I simply want to make that point clear. However, once I've learned enough, I'd like to form an opinion. Based on what I know now, I believe it's quite likely that XRP's value will increase dramatically. I'm aware it could be wrong and that everything would be just great if it went to zero. But I've made my wagers, and now I sleep comfortably. Tony Edward seems to be one of those people as well. And he put in writing what follows. We expect cryptocurrencies to surge after Bitcoin reaches its retracement top at $40,000 or thereabouts. I'm keeping a watch on ETH and XRP in the hopes that Judge Torres decides in Ripple's favor and the currency appreciates. Profits will be taken into account. So, let me pause there for a moment. I've actually given this more thought recently. When could we expect the initial? I've been considering it for a while, but more so now, because just like everyone else, I expect an XRP rally in the event of positive news. In that case, at what point would I start making a profit? No one has ever given me a definitive solution to this question. If you've been reading my stuff for any length of time, you'll be aware of this. Although I have stated many times that I hold what is subjectively a large quantity of XRP, some of you still would hold more and you think you have a modest amount. This is only subjective to me. Not a problem. Everything is up for grabs and depends on perspective. Some of you may be thinking, wow, she has a ridiculous amount. On the other hand, I've been tossing around the idea of charging anywhere from $7 to $8 at the very most, with the idea that each additional unit costs around $5. Since I've already bought more XRP than the majority of people on Earth, I don't care whether the price of one XRP goes up to $10, $15, $20, $30, etc. Due to my high level of confidence, I took on more danger at the outset, but now I can reap the rewards of expansion while simultaneously decreasing my overall risk. That's always been my intention, and I haven't been coy about it. That is what I intend to do. Almost same to how could you sell for so little? Numbers 5, 6, 7, to each his own, I guess. What you said is correct. Distinct aims. In addition, I'm thinking about my present income streams, my other assets, and anything else that affects my financial situation. There are a lot of factors at play here. To sum up, if we reach that point, I'd be like, yep, but would I be willing to sell any amount lower than that? That's an impressive it's possible, and a big one at that XRP will break the $4 threshold for the first time. About 1% to 2% of what I sell. Well, if I do, I suppose I could elaborate. I won't disclose the exact amount of XRP I own, but I'm happy to discuss my sales strategy in percentages. But even if I did I wouldn't stoop to such a level. However, there are some listeners, even if not many of you, who would be like, yeah, but I'm going to be out at because they've made some money. Everyone has their own objectives, and expectations, so it's cool that mine are different from theirs. However, Tony stayed inside in that excerpt would be published, since it particularly emphasizes the argument. All of us here are looking forward to this, right? Once the current bull rally ends and the lows are challenged once more, he argues, we'll know. After next year's Bitcoin bull run, I plan to start stockpiling for the macro bull run. Despite the fact that 2023 has seen some exciting crypto price movements, he is of the opinion that we are still in the 4-year cycle situation, with the next major huge shift not happening for another year or two. From his vantage point, the truly massive shift is consistent with it holding still. Maybe he'll be right. Perhaps he is. I won't even claim to be an expert. This is fair. However, I have always been of the idea that the value of possessions is diminished by a factor of 4 when they are cut in half. Bitcoin mining has essentially reached its maximum capacity. Already at over 19 million, it's well over the maximum of 21 million. For the purpose of extracting the final few droplets from that branch. Right. I should have spoken the line that is sure to enrage some Bitcoin maxi, but I didn't. Right. Extract every last drop of lime juice. Right. But what I'm trying to imply is that it won't matter as much with each passing increment. Perhaps it still will, and perhaps it will align with each passing day. We'll find out. The more I think about it, the less I believe it will have any real significance. Even if it's not going to be a 4-year event anymore, which is a big if, it's doable since cycles have to run their course. That being said, perhaps XRP's price will rise this year. Despite my skepticism over the past few years, I'm starting to think it might reach a new peak this year. I'm beginning to have my doubts about that, and the main reason is the increased activity and interest in XRP in the days before the trial's conclusion, which I've already discussed at length. And I think the world understands how significant this will be. So, I highlight the number of new XRP accounts periodically since that's where the bulk of the institutional money is going. When I recall back to March, when Judge Torres issued her pre-trial decisions about the Dauber petitions, I saw XRP's price skyrocket from what I believe was 32 cents to where it is today. I have blanked out anything past about 58 cents. And now you understand. It seems like a lot of people have taken notice. The major news wasn't even that. This is why there are dances like that. So now I'm taking stock of the situation and thinking, perhaps I should have had loftier goals. And it just makes me wonder if my thoughts over the last few years have been correct. For the most part of the last 2 years, I figured that XRP was only worth about $2 because, well, unless Bitcoin's operating, what's XRP going to go to? Alternatively, do you anticipate setting a new record? I've never thought otherwise. I used to be more dubious, but I'm starting to change my mind. What I'm getting at is this. Why wouldn't I be excited? Just take a peek at what's been going on around here. There was also a headline from a top crypto analyst saying something to the effect of XRP won't be heading to $100 or $50 after the case was resolved. And while this may appear bad to others, I actually find it quite the opposite to be true. It just sounds like someone is making an effort to maintain a firm footing in reality. It's a person with the handle crypto assets. He was the one who wrote, "I love the XRP community, but there are some moon boys that need to understand this," so you know they were talking about him in the article. The total cost of the litigation won't be more than $50 after it's over, much less $10,000. Potentially breaking the previous record high of $3.70. Moreover, we should be rather content. Okay. Well, I doubt that everyone will be happy with it. I will argue that if there is a new all-time high only with that, and if it is the case that crypto wasn't, like in the ecstatic stages of a bull market, then we set a new all-time high. That would make me very happy. If the price is less than $4, I might sell some XRP, but much less than that, and I'm not sure I'd even make a profit. To this day, I have not made a single XRP transaction. Under $4? I'd have a hard time parting with even a single XRP at that price. The only problem is that it doesn't sound exciting enough to me. If that happens, I'll have a great time. It's just further proof that what you're doing is right. Look, if that happens, the world really was that interested. And yet. In any case. So, even if that happens, it will eventually drop down to a single digit. I have no plans to sell my current position and am prepared to accept the current situation. Not selling is what I've been doing for the past 5.5 years. For an extended period of time even. Just trust me, son, and there won't be a hitch. Someone named Mick Johnson replied to him with, "New all-time high, retraced back to $1, then $11 in 2025, which, by the way, I have no idea if it will happen or not, but does not sound ridiculous." That forecast for the future of cryptocurrency seems about right. The conversation continued with Guy agreeing with everything that had been said. So, to reiterate, and I promise I'm not hesitating too much, I just want to make sure that the excerpt community never becomes an echo chamber like the poisonous BTC Max trolls. I really don't want any of us to get caught up in our own press. This is why I try my hardest not to let my ideals cloud my judgment. Therefore, if I hear something in the community that I find offensive, unnecessary, or otherwise out of bounds, I will politely share my disagreement and explain why. But in this case, the idea of it possibly just rocketing here, how could somebody not think that that's the most probable thing if we get a positive ruling, in the SEC versus Ripple case? All that to say, even though none of us know where the price will go for sure if that happens, you're not alone. You don't share my craziness. Let's get that straight. In my opinion, the cost will almost certainly increase. And I certainly haven't made such a claim. If you've been following along, you know that I got serious about cryptocurrency and created my YouTube channel around the tail end of 2018. This isn't the kind of thing I usually say, but I think we're at the kind of juncture where it's realistic to think, yeah, something's going to happen as long as we receive the good news. On the other hand, I do not rule out the potential that you might be able to observe price crater. But I don't think it's necessary. For XRP, we just need things to get clearer, or at least appear clearer. The market seems to be okay with anything along those lines. I think the fine Ripple would have to pay would be plenty. This also comes into play. And I really like how the Ripple cases are all like, yes, we've been wanting it over ever since it started out fine. But I have to say that I'm okay with it ending this year rather than last. In terms of price movement, 2018 was a disaster for cryptocurrencies. Okay, so now we're talking about how Bitcoin has a bit of a run. Although we are not quite in full-blown ecstasy, recent gains in Bitcoin have coincided with what appears to be the demise of the SEC Ripple. Yep. I'm in, kid. The Daily Huddle's leading analyst, who forecast Bitcoin's bottom in 2022, predicts that the cryptocurrency will reach new highs this year. Look at all of his aims. Bitcoin could surpass this year's high of roughly $31,000, according to an analyst who predicted the cryptocurrency market bottom in November 2022. According to the 51,500 subscribers of the Technical Roundup on YouTube, pseudonymous analyst Don Alt predicts that Bitcoin will soon break out of a trading range and climb above $32,000. And I'll end with a quote of his: "Every week, we get together." We are currently trading at weekly resistance, although that level has been challenged countless times before, and the price is currently hovering just above or below the $32,000 breakdown level. And I gave this place the name Indecision Zone months and months ago. And you can see how much trouble we've had with this, but I believe we can finally overcome it now that we have a trigger. After that, we have a great time. The trader claims that the petition by the massive asset management BlackRock for a spot Bitcoin exchange traded fund or ETF sent the price well north of $32,000 in quotation. That's why I'm pausing to make a remark now. Several times in my most recent video, I brought up the fact that when the news of BlackRock, pushing for the spot Bitcoin ETF broke, I eagerly highlighted it because it had such broad applicability. And I was kind of wondering if people would really realize how enormous it is and how much effort went into it. I was wondering whether this may cause any changes in price. Would this be the topic of endless tweets and Facebook posts? And the final tally for those three questions was yes. And I was simply wondering, not out loud, why I didn't say that. I tried my best to convey why this was such huge news by saying things like, "This is gigantic news." I'd say it performed an acceptable job overall. But deep down, I couldn't help but wonder if enough people would get how significant this was. The largest asset manager in the world, my wager looks good. Donuts to dollars, I'm betting on it. BlackRock's acceptance by the SEC is a sure bet, you can take my word for it. Simply for kicks, I have done that. Just because I venture a guess doesn't imply it's correct. I'll take a wild guess and say that's the case. However, Donald's words are included below. I truly believe that if we hadn't heard about the BlackRock ETFs, things would have fallen apart. Around $22,000, it would have found this kind of support before taking off. But word has reached us. The silver lining is that when this happens, a group of otherwise astute individuals who were bearish had been caught off guard. Therefore, they will need to repurchase. Short sellers must either repurchase to cover their positions or obtain exposure. As a result, there is a flurry of activity as people try to secure a place in a position. And then this happened. That's roughly how I see the events unfolding. That's a great recipe for a pump, since the customers will consider any price to be acceptable. And that's roughly where we are at the moment. This trend shows no signs of abating, in my opinion. This is the best fundamental data that we could have gotten while the market was very, very negative, leaning, and I think it will conclude with a gigantic candle to the upside where people just completely FOMO the S word out of this thing. Absolutely right. And since I have no interest in being an analyst, I will never pretend to be one. I find the idea to be quite dull. It's hard to exaggerate how fundamentally important this is, but yeah, it's a major issue. And that's not all, other companies followed BlackRock's lead and registered for exchange-traded funds, ETFs, too. I looked at one that was managing something like $1.4 to $1.5 trillion. Therefore, it is enormous, truly enormous. That means BlackRock is still a minimum of 6 to 7 times larger than the other company. One was smaller and probably went by the name Invesco. If memory serves, it was closer to 80 or 90 billion, but many more are expected to follow and eventually be granted. And then, of course, you need to buy some actual Bitcoin to back it all up. It's not hard to see why this is significant. It's a great time to be involved with cryptocurrencies generally, and an XRP holder in particular. I have no doubts about that. I am not a certified financial planner. Nothing I say or write should be used as a basis for making financial decisions. Please like and subscribe my channel. See you in the next video. Bye.